Hi there, Philip from MindCode here. In this lecture, I'll be working on a simple pickup system and we'll also create inventory for the items. First, I will show you a preview of what you are going to work on together with me. So I'll play the game and you can see that there are some items on the ground here I can pick up. They are rotating. As soon as I will pick them up, I will fill up the inventory of the player. So we have here also inventory object, currently is empty. As I will pick up the item, I have here a capsule item, and also I have here a sphere item. So I have two items in inventory. When I will click here use item, they will spawn in front of me. The capsule and also this other sphere is spawning in front of me, and inventory is getting empty. Alright guys, so we will start work on this. You can get the initial project we'll be working on together from the resources in the description of this video. So in the description, you can find a link to GitHub repository, and you can get a code from here. So you can either download it or just clone it. That's the initial project we will start from. Okay, and I will run it. Okay, so I will close the completed one. Also, you can find the completed project in my GitHub repo. The link is also included in the description. All right, so somewhere here I should have project pickups. Here it is. So that's the starting point of the project we'll be working on. Okay, so first thing we'll be working on a simple pickups. Pickup will be represented by the cube. All right, so here is a scene. So if you clone the project or download the project, you should see here this scene here. If you're not seeing it, you can open the project folder here, and in a scenes folder in assets, just double click the sample scene and we can start. Okay, first we'll create a representation of the pickup. Let's go to hierarchy of the project, right click here, create here 3D object. We'll create a simple cube. All right, here is a cube. Let's put it on the 0, 0, 0. Okay, so we have here, I will make it full screen. Okay, so here we have a cubic. We'll put it a little bit higher, doesn't really matter, just somewhere in the front of the player. And we'll make it smaller, so let's scale it down to 0.5. Everywhere, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Okay, this cube will be special. It will be actual pickup, so I will rename it for a pickup. Okay, so this is pickup. And I will add here a component, so I'll add here a script. We'll call the pickup. Okay, so right here, pickup, click here new script and create and add. This will add a new script at the item, which will be called pickup. When you want to open the file, you will just click here these three dots, and you will edit script. This will open your coding editor. So I hope you are using Visual Studio Code or Visual Studio. That's the best one to use for me. In this case, I'm using Visual Studio. Okay, I'll wait until it's launched. I will be working on our pickup script. The pickup script will be, okay, we'll download it after. The pickup script should be pretty simple to create. Okay, so start an update. We'll leave here update. In the update, I would like to rotate the pickup item as you saw in the preview. So to rotate the object, it's actually very simple. You can just access the transform of the object, and you can call the function a method rotate. All right, and on the rotate, you will just get the vector 3, 1, which is the vector 3 of each axis is representing the vector 1, 1, 1. You will multiply it by time delta. This will create very, very slow rotation. So when you want to make it faster, just multiply it by some number. So multiplier, let's say by the 20. You can increase or decrease this number. You can provide it as the public one, so you can access it from outside. We can actually write it here, public float rotation speed. All right, and I will multiply it by the rotation speed here. Okay, let's see it in action. Let's save this. Let's go to Unity, and we'll see it. So let's click here on a pickup. We have here rotation speed, let's say 20. All right, we'll run our game, and now the item should be rotating. You can see it's rotating very slow. We can increase the speed as you want. For example, 100 is rotating like this. All right, so up to you guys. So yeah, 100 was quite good, right? So we can write here rotation speed of 100. Also, we can add here some color to our store items. So open here materials. You should have here some materials. Have a green and this yellowish material. We can create here a new one. Let's create here. Let's find here material. All right, let's call this pickup material, pickup. All right, so in the materials folder, right click and click a pickup material. Let's click here color. Choose your color. Pickup color can be orange color or yellow. This orange. All right, you can drag it and place it on the item. And smoothness we can decrease, so it's not smooth. Metallic will decrease also to the 0. And yeah, let's see it now. Let's play the game. And here is our pickup. Perfect. Okay, to interact with the pickup, we need to add to the pickup box collider so we can trigger some events on it. Okay, so let's click on the pickup and we'll add here. Oh, actually, we have here already box collider, which is perfect. Maybe I will just increase this box collider so we can interact in the bigger distance with the pickup. Currently, we have a size 1. Let's increase to 2 everything. Okay, so this can be pickup range. What do you think? You can also decrease it if you want. I will leave it as it is. So whenever we'll collide with these borders, we can execute one event. This event is on a trigger event. So if you would like to trigger this event, you need to click on the box collider and you need to toggle its trigger here. See here, just toggle its trigger. Okay, now we can go back to conjugator, so we can specify this method. Okay, so under the update, you can specify method called onTrigger enter. This will be called whenever the other game object will collide. Will collide with this collider we have specified on the pickup. So we can console log here or something. And yeah, just for start, let's console log here. Let's write here debug log triggering. Okay, we can save this. Go back to Unity. All right, let's play the game and let's interact with the item. Let's see console. Let's go to it, and you can see here triggering, and we are triggering every time we will go through the item. All right, perfect. Now I'd like to improve here. We want to be sure that we would like to collide only our player with this pickup game object. So what I will do here, actually, I will click on the player now. See here, player game object. Select here a new tag. Here you have a tag, so you should have here untagged currently, but you have here also to choose player. If you don't have here a player, just add tag, and let's add tag of a player. Just here in the list of the tags, you can just add here a plus sign, and you can create a player. In this case, we'll just click here on the player. We have here already player, so we'll choose here a tag of the player. So our player game object is tagged as a player. Now we can go back to conjugator. We can write here very simple if statement. As you can see here, we are getting here collider on trigger enter. So this is the game object we are colliding with. This pickup is colliding with. It can be our player, it can be some other game object, but we want to be sure it's our player, so we'll compare here tags. On a collider type, you can call here a compare tag method, and we want to be sure that we are calling with a player, so compare tag player. Okay, now we will be sure that we are colliding with a player. Again, we'll just debug log here. Triggering by player, like this. All right, let's save this. Let's go back to Unity. Okay, we'll click here. All right, triggering by player. Perfect. Okay, so now we will create our items. So some fake items we would like to use, we would like to collect in a player inventory, and then later we would like to instantiate them. This will be just a simple game object again. So I'll do following. I'll create this game object first. I will create them in a hierarchy. So let's right click here. Let's create here a 3D object. It will be not cube. We'll create here a sphere. All right, and the sphere will be scale 0.5 everywhere, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Let's move it somewhere, it doesn't really matter. All right, so sphere here. All right, we'll call it sphere item. All right. Okay, and you can do it with any item you want. If you have some models, you have maybe some swords, some weapons, shields, armors, or anything, you can do it with anything. Sphere item, I will create here a second item, 3D object. This will be cylinder. Or not cylinder, let's create something else. Let's create here to the object, let's say here capsule. All right, so capsule, again, I will scale it down a little bit. I will scale it to a 0.5 everywhere, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5 here. I will call it capsule item. All right, capsule item. If you want, you can add some colors to them, to these items. If you prefer, if it will be maybe more visible, maybe makes more sense for you. You could see how to create the materials, but I will leave them just white as they are right now. Okay, it's time to create a prefab so we can reuse these items later, also our pickup. So go to your project folder here, click here on the assets, we'll create here a new folder, right click here, create new folder, and let's call it prefabs. In the prefabs folder, just simply let's open and double click it in the prefabs folder, and let's take all of your items, pickup, sphere item, capsule item, and drag them into the prefabs folder. Oh, actually, I think we need to do it one by one. All right, one by one pickup, sphere item, capsule item. So the reason why I'm creating prefabs of it is that, for example, clear it out. Let's remove pickup, for example. I will remove pickup completely. I can go simply to my project folder. I will get here pickup and I will drag it to back to the scene. And the pickup is already have a pickup script, rotation speed as I set it up, and all of this as at the time as I have created prefab, and I can create multiple of these pickups at the same time. And all of them are sharing the same properties. Okay, we can revert this if we just want one pickup for now. Let's run our game and verify that we can still interact with it. We should be able. Okay, triggering by player. Perfect. Okay, so what will happen now? Our pickup will have a reference of the item we would like to place into the player inventory. All right, so let's do it. Let's go back to our coding editors. I will create here a new public. Okay, so public. This will be actually game object. We will call it item prefab. Item prefab like this. All right, I will save this. All right, I will go back to our Unity. Now you should see here, we have here pickup, and we have here also item prefab. This will be instantiating or will be adding to the player inventory. We'll be adding the item prefab into the player inventory. Okay, so since we have done here changes and we would like to apply these changes also to our prefab, we need to override our prefab. Okay, we have added here item prefab new member variable. So if we would like to apply also it to our prefab of a pickup in our assets folder, we need to click here up here on overrides. And actually, since we are adding just a variable, it should be added here. My mistake. When you will click on the pickup prefab, it should be already here. Yeah, item prefab is here. Perfect. All right, so what I will do, I will create here actually two pickups. So I'll drag here a second pickup. This one a little bit higher, and also this one a little bit higher. And sphere item and a capsule item from the scene, I can completely remove. I can just select them and remove them. I'll focus on the pickups here, and I will click on the first pickup. So let's say pickup 1. Open here item prefab, and just first, let's say this pickup will be responsible for capsule item. So I will drag the capsule item into this item prefab. Now I will go to the pickup, normal pickup, and I will drag in the item prefab or sphere item. So I'll drag it and drop it in item prefab. Perfect. So both of our pickups now, they have item prefabs we would like to place in the player inventory when we will interact with them. Just to verify it, let's go back to our coding editors. And in our debug log, we can also debug log here item we would like to add to the player. So debug log here item prefab.name. All right, let's save it. Let's go back to Unity. Okay, let's play it, and we should see here a sphere item and a capsule item depending on a pickup. So I will go here. Okay, sphere item is here, and now here capsule item is here. Perfect. That's what we wanted to see. Okay, guys. So now what we need to do, we need to create an inventory object where we'll be storing these items, and we will be adding this inventory to the player. Inventory will be created as a scriptable object, so we can persist this data. Okay, scriptable object is a normal object, similar as the game object, but the scriptable object, they don't have a transform property, so that's beneficial for us because we don't really need to transform for inventory. Okay, so let's go back to our conjugators. We will create a scriptable object. Okay, so open conjugators. Okay, and here we'll create a new file. Okay, simply right-click here. Actually, I cannot create here a new file. So click here on the root folder, my assets. Right-click here, add. In this case, not model behavior, but normal class. So click here on the class. Let's call it inventory. Okay, so just select it one more time, or just right-click here and rename. And let's call it inventory. All right, we'll remove a constructor. I don't need. And we'll call it this inventory. Perfect. Okay, so to denote it as the scriptable object, we need to extend here scriptable object. So let's write here scriptable object. If it is showing you error, we need to use here namespace of Unity Engine. So you need to just place here using Unity Engine, or when you will hover with the mouse over this, select here using Unity Engine. Perfect. Okay, so here's a scriptable object. We'll provide here also one more decorator. Let's write here Unity Engine, or actually we are using here Unity Engine, so we can call here create asset menu, call it. Let's provide here menu item, or actually menu name, and let's provide here a name of this item. So you will see actually that we can create it from actual menu in our assets folder. You will see. You can call it as you want. I will call it YouTube game, so YT space game / inventory, like this. I will save this. Let's go back to browsers. Oh, not to browsers. What I'm saying, to Unity Engine here. And when you will go to project now, and you will go to assets, anywhere here, you can just right-click here. And when you will go to create, you should see here YouTube games and inventory. So now I can create here this inventory object. Okay, and I can create a multiple of them, depends on as many you need. Maybe you have more players in the game, you need more inventories, and so on. Okay, so that's why, because we use this create asset menu, and we specified menu name to be YouTube games and / inventory. So this is creating this menu here when you will right click here in this. Okay, so let's continue. Let's go back here. Also, I will denote this as a system serializable. All right. Actually, I can just write here serializable since I'm using here already system. Okay, and we'll specify here a couple of things. So all of our items will be strings. The inventory will contain only the names of the items. So I'll write here public list, not the audio listener, but the public list. Oh, okay. Public list of the strings. I will call it items. Okay, we have here issue. We need to use here a collection generic. So please import system collection generic so you can use here list. We will have here for now just two methods, public void add item. And we'll have here public void remove item. All right, so we have here two methods. In the add item, we'll provide here item name, so string item name, so we know what we need to provide. Add to inventory. I will just simply write here items, add an item name, very simple enough. And when we want to remove item, of course, we need to know either the name of the item we want to remove or just the index at which in the list we would like to remove this item. And in this case, we'll be getting here this index. So I'll write here int index, and we'll just simply access here items, remove at index. All right, so that's our two functions, add item and remove item. Now we'll be adding this inventory, we'll be creating it, and we'll be adding it to the player. So as you have here player controller actually, double click here, and create here new public, inventory, call it simply inventory. All right. Okay, so we have inventory. Let's go back here. Actually, when I'm noticing here, I'm just a small thing here, guys. Very small thing. I'm calling it with the uppercase items. We should save the convention and call it lowercase items. Okay, so just in the inventory, let's rename it for items, lowercase items everywhere. All right, so we have our items. In the player controller, we have our inventory of type inventory of our scriptable object. Okay, and now we can create it in our game. Okay, I'm keeping going to my browser because before I was recording the lecture in a web development. Okay, so let's go back to our game here. And let's create this object inventory. Again, I will just to keep it clean here, let's in assets folder create a new folder. So right click here, create a new folder. Let's call it objects. And in the objects folder, I'll double click it and I will create here this inventory. So I will right click here, create YouTube games inventory. Okay, and we will just simply call it inventory like this. All right, perfect. So we have our inventory. Now we can go to player. We can click here on the player. On the player, you should have a player controller. On the player controller, you have an inventory. So just simply drag and drop inventory into the inventory here. So you can reference the inventory object where you will be storing the actual data. Okay, let's go back to coding editors. And I would like to change one thing in our inventory. Let's open inventory. And let's remove serializable. I was too fast writing it. Actually, scriptable objects are already serializable, so it's a little bit redundant. There will be no change here otherwise. So let's save this, please. You don't really need serializable in this case. You can go back to Unity and you will see everything will be as before. Okay, so what we would like to do now, we would like to emit event as we are picking up the item, and we would like to listen to this event on the player so we can add this item to the inventory. Okay, so we need to invoke the event first. Let's go back to coding editors, and we'll invoke this event on a pickup. Okay, so back here, let's go to pickup now, and we'll specify here public event, public Unity event. Oops, there's a Unity event. You need to import here Unity events, or actually Unity event. All right, so now we can import here Unity engine events. Okay, and we'll call this event, let's say, on item pickup event. Okay, so when we are picking up the item, we will remove these debug logs. We will not use them like this on item pickup event. And we will invoke this event. So invoke, and we'll provide here actual item prefab name. So item prefab.name. Okay, so invoke, and one thing here, it's complaining because we are providing here actual string item prefab.name. So we need to specify here Unity event of type. So pointy brackets, and let's specify here type of string. Now it should be all right. All right, so now we should be invoking event. Now we need to listen to this event. So we'll prepare the method in our player controller, which will be executed whenever we'll invoke this event. So let's write here. Let's write here down here. Public function, public method, public void. Let's call this on item pickup. On item pickup, where we'll receive our item name, so string item name. For now, I'll just debug log here item name, so item name. Okay, now we need to set up a couple of things. Let's save it, please. Back to Unity. Okay, so we'll click on both of our pickups. So click here on the pickup one. We have here on Unity pickup event. We'll add here a new event. So let's click here plus. And we will add here actually object and the function which will be executed when the event will be invoked. So please click here on this object. We'll choose here from a scene, not from the asset. So click here on the scene and choose here a player. Okay, so click here on the player and now the function. The function, choose here player controller, and we should see here on item pickup up here. Here it is on item pickup. Same thing we'll need to set up on our other pickup. So let's click here on the other pickup. Let's click here on item pickup plus sign here. Let's choose your object. So again, from the scene, let's search here for the player. Click here on the player, double click it. Let's choose your function, player controller on item pickup. Perfect. So this is the setup. Now we can run this game. All right, and we should see here actually console. Okay, sphere item and capsule item, but now they are actually this invoked from actual item. Okay, so these console logs are going from our player controller. Okay, so a couple of more improvements, guys. Let's go back here. We don't want to debug log here any items. We would like to rather add here items to inventory. So we'll add here inventory dot add item, and we'll add here item name. Okay, let's save it. There will be a couple of problems we need to now address. So when you will play the game, you can actually see here inventory. So let's click here on the project inventory. Let's pick up the items. First item, second item, and I can go through the items and I will keep adding them because the inventory is still in the scene. Other issue, when I will stop the game, this inventory still has a data because the scriptable objects are stored on the hard drive of your computer. So they are also persistent. Okay, so that's the other thing here. If you would like to have it persistent, which is completely fine, if you would like to have a persistent inventory, you can keep it. But if you would like to remove it, clear it out every time you are starting the game, we need to do some changes. Okay, so let's go back to calling editors. And first thing, I will destroy the pickup as we are picking up the items. So here, I will just write here destroy, and I will destroy the game object to which the pickup is attached to. So this should be this R cube. Okay, so destroy game object. So now when you will run the game, you will go through the pickup. You should see the pickup is destroyed. Perfect. And I will clear the items. Okay, so I will go to our calling editor, and in our inventory, I will create here a new method, public one. I will call it awake, not awake, just awake inventory. And it will be public void, and we'll access your items, and we'll reassign them to the new list. So new list like this, which should clear the items. Okay, let's save this. We need to call this method as our player controller is initialized. So let's go to player controller. Scroll up here. We should have here awake, and let's access here inventory, and let's call here awake inventory. Okay, save it now. Back to Unity. Play the game. Now when you run the game, it should be empty inventory. Yeah, it's empty. Pick up the items, sphere item, capsule item, stop the game. The items are here, but as I will start running game again, they should be cleared out, and we can pick them up again. All right, so we have our items. Now there is just one last thing. We want to instantiate the items as we are picking them up. So we need to first create some button on the screen. It can be actual inventory we can create, but this would take too much time here for one lecture. I will create here just a simple button, which we will click on the button. It will instantiate this item we have in the inventory. Okay, so let's do it like this. Let's right click here in a hierarchy. Let's create here a canvas. So let's click here UI, click here on canvas. Okay, we can just call it simply canvas. Double click it. We can toggle here 2D views so you can see the actual canvas. I need to zoom it in. I'm too close to the canvas. I'm too far now. All right. And I would like to add here item button on the right top corner. So we'll right click here. I will create here a new item, UI item button. Okay, we'll place the button in the right top corner here. So we'll change the centering. Please choose the centering in the right top corner, this one here top, and the right, this one here. Okay, and the change, every parameter is changed to the 0, 0. Actually, just the position X and the Y. Now you can scroll more here, and you can just reposition the button as you want. When you're holding the Alt key or Option key, you can just move as you are pressing the mouse. Okay, so I can drag the button and I can place it, let's say here. I will make the button larger. First, I will change this. I will increase the text here in the button. So I will open the button in the hierarchy. I will click on the text, and I will right here text use item. Let's say use item. Use item. I will change it to 44 pixels. We don't see the item here because we need to make the button larger. Oh, not actually, not the text. You can revert it, but click on the button and make the width bigger, the height bigger. Okay, let's see like this. Little bit of width, and let's place it as you want, somewhere in the corner, like this. So when you will play the game, the button should be up here. Perfect. So now again, we'll execute some function when we'll be calling on the use item. So we'll prepare this function. Let's go back to our colligators. Again, in a player controller, let's scroll down here and let's create here a new public function, public method, public void on item on item use. On item use, all right. And let's for now there's a debug log here. We'll be getting here. Actually, we don't need to get here anything. We'll be just simply instantiating the first item in our inventory, and that will be it. Okay, so let's just debug log here for now. Calling on item use. Okay, let's save it now. Let's go back to Unity. Okay, I'll click here on the button. Let's scroll down here. On the button, we should have here on click events. And you can add here again, as we did before, plus you can add here object. So let's again choose here object of the player from the scene. Please click here on the scene, be sure. Player, let's choose here player, click here function, and player controller, and we are looking on item use. Okay, so let's run the game. And you can click here use item, and you should see in a console calling on item use as many times as you will click on this button. Okay, so now let's finish the last functionality. Let's go back to colligators, and let's code here. Okay, so first I will check here if the inventory is empty. So if the inventory items count is equal to the 0, there is no reason to use any items. So I will just simply return from here. Otherwise, I will continue and I will instantiate the item. So first I will get here item index I would like to instantiate. In this case, I will be going with the always index 0. I'll be instantiating the first item in the inventory, or you can go with the last one, up to you. We'll get here item name, so var item name from the inventory. So we'll just simply access here our inventory items at the item index. Okay, and then we have a item name. We can remove the item from the inventory. So inventory remove item at the item index. Okay, so this will be removing, and now we need to just instantiate the object. So first I'll create a game object. So game object, I'll call it item. If you want to instantiate the object from your assets folder, you need to access your asset database. I think it's called asset database. Let's hover over, and you need to use here Unity editor. So please click on this. Okay, and now you will just load assets path. Load asset path. This method you will use, load asset path. Then you need to provide a path to your file. Okay, so quotation signs here, and we'll provide this path here. I will make this wider. It's easier for you to read. Okay, so load asset path. So we need to go to our assets folder. Asset / we are keeping this assets prefabs. Okay, so we'll go to prefabs now. / plus item name. So item name, because we are keeping on the inventory our item name, so we can go to prefabs and either a capsule item or a sphere item, depending on the item we are using. So plus item name plus, I think it will make it even more wider. Need here more space. Okay. Okay, so plus. Okay, so we have item name plus. We need to add here extension. So extension of the prefab. So you can, when you will click on this, you can see here is the sphere item.prefab. So we need to add here .prefab extension. So we'll go with the dot prefab. Okay, I'll just verify if everything is fine. So assets, prefabs, item name, plus extension prefab. Okay, we need to provide also type, what we would like to, what we are instantiating here. So we'll provide here a type of the game object, like this. Okay, this is still not happy because it's returning some other type, so we are having a problem here. So I will just say here, I'll tell here Unity, okay, treat it as a game object. So we'll do here a simple casting as game object, and now it should be fine. Okay, very long line. So assets database, load assets path. We are loading our assets / prefabs item name dot prefab extension. And then we are providing here a type of it. This will be game object. We are instantiating, and we'll get this item. And now the last line here, simply call here instantiate. Let's instantiate this item and let's place it in the front of the player. So if you want to place it in the front of the player, we'll access current player position. So we need to access your transform, instantiate transform dot position plus transform forward times, let's say, will be 5 units in front of the user, so times 5 units like this. Okay, and also we need to provide a rotation. So the third value here will be transform dot rotation. All right, and that should be it. Okay, guys, so simply when we are clicking on item, we are choosing the first item from inventory, removing this item, they are loading this item from our assets, and we are instantiating it, and that's simply it. Okay, so let's save this. Let's go back to Unity. Okay, let's play the game. We'll pick up the items. So let's pick first one, second one. I will click on also on inventory, so we see this. Okay, so inventory. We have 2 items. Use item, it's in front of me. I'll go in this direction. Let's say here, use item, and the capsule is in front of me, and inventory is empty. And so now I have 2 items I have instantiated. And to these items, I can assign different properties. I can attach different scripts to them, and these items can be whatever you want. Just the main principle is now main mechanism is now working. Okay, so we can stop the game. That should be it, guys, from this lecture. If you are looking for the entire course, you can find it links in the description of this video. Also, I can show you. Okay, if you are using for if you're looking for a full course where I will be teaching you how to create a full RPG game, there is a new course I have prepared. It's a 300 lectures, 40 hours of content, starting from the AZ project, finishing with the RPG game. Just simply open the link, go to this, and see the preview video. It's actually very interesting RPG adventure game we'll be creating. So that should be it. You can prepare for more videos for gaming, and I hope to see you in the next videos, guys. Cheers!